Welcome to the Kommon Cents Podcast. Kommon Cents, make it make sense. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on Spotify at Kommon Cents University, as well as on our socials and on Kommon Cents University as well. So today we delve into our urgent matter facing Jamaicans. I'm your host, Kamar Jackson, and I'm here with our co-host, Q. Q, how's it going?
Well, it's a sensitive topic because tonight this is real, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, man. Wita is our co-host. How's it going, Wita?
Just giving thanks for life. I want to say shout out to Kommon Cents fraternity. Kommon Cents make it make sense.
Love that. All right, so today, we're asking the question. Serious matter still, you know. Not even take it for joke, but should the reckless exposure to the HIV virus be criminalized? Wita, what do you think?
First, let me say persons who have the virus and who are living with the virus, this is not to discriminate them. This topic is more advanced towards persons who knowing that they have the virus, but still going around and spreading it. Should they held responsible? Responsible for such, definitely so, because this is a life-changing experience for someone, and if you know that you have any form of poisonous or virus, whether it be the virus or you're doing any bodily harm to somebody, you should be held responsible. You know what I mean? So we are talking about the persons who actually know they have the virus and willfully spread it. So if they should be held responsible by law, sure, I do think so.
Q, what do you think about that?
Well, I believe if somebody do have the virus, right, and choose to give it to someone else and knowing that they do have it, yes, they should be held accountable. But I believe if they give it to multiple persons, the charges should be much more vigorous on those individuals.
All right. We're going to get into it in some detail, but before we do that,
But if it's proven, it has to be proven.
well, it's court of law, right? So if it's something that's criminal, like court of law is going through, so you have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, right? Well, yeah, but before we get into the weeds, let's step back and kind of define certain things, like HIV. No, obviously there's a dictionary definition, but like, what you guys think? Q, I mean, if you want to take that one there, what is HIV?
Well, it's a virus, right?
Yes.
And I think even a child, if you ask them what is HIV, they're going to tell you it's a sexual one way to get it is by having sex with an individual, because they are educating kids on these things in school. You can get it in many different ways, but it's the earliest. If HIV is not treated, it will turn into AIDS. And if AIDS is not treated, and if it reach the full length, full-blown AIDS, without being treated, nothing getting care of, you have 1 to 3 years to live. So, but we're not going to put any stigma on this, right? If someone have the virus, the main thing you can do to help them is listen but not judge, right? And know that it's a confidential, it's private, and it's also confidential, and you should keep it that way, right? And one more thing, try to be there for them. Listen.
Well, we're going to get into that a little bit more a little later. We just try to define it so people understand, like, what these terms are that we're using, right? So the HIV dictionary definition we're looking at is human immunodeficiency virus, And it's a virus that attacks the body's immune system, specifically the CD4 cells, also called T cells, which helps the immune system fight off infections. So what it's telling you is that it's attacking the body's defense system, right? What that means is that once your body's defense system is broken down, that's when it turns into AIDS. And pretty much when you have AIDS, it's almost as if you don't have an immune system. So even the common cold can kill you, right? So that's when it gets really serious. So the reason I'm saying this is just to define what HIV is compared to AIDS. As I mentioned, HIV, that's the virus. AIDS is the actual. That's when it gets serious. So that's the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, and that is basically the final and the most severe stage of the HIV infection.
If I made okay, Mar, they said if AIDS is being treated, if it don't reach full blown, somebody at 30 can still live to age 60 or 70.
Yeah, man. I'm just defining,
Yeah.
what the two terms mean. We're definitely going to get into the details of it, man. Don't worry yourself.
All
right. So with that,
Yes, I.
from your common knowledge, what are some ways that you can transmit HIV? Not you, but people.
Not me. As we speak about the virus itself, bodily fluid, whether it be during sex or, other ways of bodily fluid being exchanged, blood transfusion, the list goes on. So as we go along, we talk about, I think we did a topic where we talked about knowing your partner. So I will touch on certain things, but these are some of the ways that you can go about actually spreading the virus.
All right. So you say bodily fluid. So you have to talk to me like
for those who are,
like I'm 12.
Who are supporting, for those who are supporting the idea.
Youth, I know what you're talking about.
You go on. For those who are supporting the idea of, them call it in our culture, Jamaican culture, raw. You know what I mean? So these persons who are having sex without condoms, they are more exposing themselves towards the possibility. And if you're in a relationship, you know what I mean? I don't want to get into that, but these are different ways. It could be through kissing, oral sex, you name it. Different things. Get a guy the oral. So there are different ways of transferring that virus. I'm sure you'll probably go in more details on it.
Yeah, man. Actually, so I'll give a small correction so still, but I'm glad you mentioned that because this is why we have this program, because we have to educate the masses on how the thing work, right? So
Sure. Go ahead.
you say bodily fluid, which you're correct, but it does not include saliva, right? So you can catch it from blood. So cross-contamination, whatever that means, whether you have a cut. So if you're kissing, the kissing it can only spread through kissing if the person has a cut in their mouth and you have a cut in your.
It's still spreading.
Well, what's the likelihood of that happening? So the people will bite up lip on them something. So you bite up your lip and then she bite up your lip, then something can go on. Yeah, something can go on. But
some of them people don't take care of them dental and they have bad teeth.
So 12 people brush them teeth and the toothbrush hard and then cut them gum.
Yeah, so if there's a cut, again, if there's a cut in, there has to be a cut in both of your mouth. But anyway, so there's kissing, if there's a cut in both of your mouth, right? So we just want to address that. But blood, semen, so cum, right? Are pre-cum, as them call it. Rectal fluid, I mean, I know that drop in. Vaginal fluid and breast milk. So if the mother has AIDS and the baby is born HIV free and this breastfeed the baby, it's possible that you can transmit AIDS that way as well. And for the man who love drink breast milk, make sure no one do. You see me I say? All right, but anyway, let's see. Yeah, sorry. So basically, there is a few ways it can spread. So you have to be careful. Obviously, protect yourself sexually if you can, or where you can. The best way if you do this thing is really if you have one partner. I'm gonna say you have one partner. I mean, you have one partner and she have one partner, right? But if there is any type of multiple partner on any end, then there's a possibility that an infection can creep into the relationship. Let's jump into the question now. So we're talking about the criminalization of it, or making it some sort of offense in terms of law, unlawful offense for knowingly exposing your partner to HIV, right? So again, we're not talking about people who are in a loving relationship and one day you step out and something happen, you catch the virus and you pass it on to your partner without knowing. We're talking about, because I've seen videos online where people, I want to say people, let's say, well, the one that I saw, it was a woman, right? And I think she was a sex worker. I don't know if she said that in the video or not, but I think it was implied. But she say, oh, a whole heap of man she get AIDS.
I am HIV positive.
In this 1 minute and 20-second video, Brandy Yakima Lassiter of Americus, Georgia, not only states that she has HIV, but she goes on to list the men she believes she infected on purpose.
You HIV positive?
She even includes their wives and girlfriends who now may also be affected. Lassiter goes on bragging about revenge and wanting to watch them suffer.
I always get the last. Now I'm watching die. I get real nasty and evil.
We talked to Major Herman Lamar with the Americus Police Department by phone. He says they are investigating her claims.
How did you guys find?
Right.
Gotcha.
But yeah, she say a wolf man she get AIDS. So that's what we're talking about today, right? Should that be criminalized? Someone that knowingly pass on AIDS to multiple partners because of any malicious thoughts or whatever it is, whatever they're going through mentally and decide to do that. Should that be something that is prosecuted under the Jamaican criminal law? What do you think? Well, you told me already, but just kind of expound on it a little bit.
Yeah, man. Because as I said, we're not talking about persons who caught the virus unknowingly, or a person who actually had the virus and didn't know. So that a person like that who is openly discussing such thing, of course, the law should go against them in full force. Because we're talking about, and this is where we, in this case, can set on the persons who are decide to have sex with someone, know their status, find out the status. You can't go around also having sex with someone with not checking out. Yeah, we are human beings. We sometimes succumb to our loss or our feelings. But if you're thinking about what is happening out there, at least to cases where I'm watching on the news and it's stating that Westmoreland, Trelawney and Senton is the virus is increasing rapidly. So you realize that these times now you have to really give it a second thought.
Absolutely. And you know what? I don't want to stop at the lady because there are other examples, but it's just the video that I saw that I was talking about. But you also have men out there that have been diagnosed with HIV and them just decide, say, yo, them still want to go out there and them still want.
Soon, Cleveland Brody is going to go before a judge to hear what more charges could be held against him in a court in this situation. We have video from the last time he was in court, and according to the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office, Cleveland Brody knew his HIV positive status since 2006, but he was not disclosing it to sexual partners. Investigators have named 3 victims in the case. One was married to the suspect, even died after having undiagnosed and untreated HIV for 5 years, according to her medical records. Denise Brody died in April 2022 because of her own husband's reckless conduct, according to prosecutors' claims.
she was in.
So what would you say, Q, a man that has been diagnosed with HIV, right, so him knows him have it, right? And after that, has had sex with multiple partners without a condom, and maybe one or two of them actually catch AIDS or catch HIV. Sorry, how do you think that should be handled?
So somebody would do that maliciously, right? Who know them have it and pass it on to one person. I think the sentence should be not as severe as someone who give it to multiple people. I think the sentence should be higher. The moment they do the investigation and realize that person lied to that individual and damage that person for the rest of their life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be charged. But
No,
I believe
I agree.
the person
Yeah.
who give it to multiple people and they are aware and they know what they do, the charge should be much higher.
No, I agree with that because here what I'm going to know. Then, if you really look at it, and I don't want to call it attempted murder, but it's almost as if you're intentionally harming that person. If you catch HIV, you're looking at spending, a lot of money every month. So I was looking at like what the cost for treatment is. No, there is an NGO in Jamaica, which is an organization, non-government organization that has has set up a facility, or they're facilitating treatment, testing, and all of that in Jamaica, and that allows them to provide those services for free. However, with anything that is free, sometimes it can become overwhelmed, and you may decide that you want to go to your own private doctor to get that sorted out. Now, if you decide to go to a private doctor, you're looking at spending up to $30,000 a month for treatment, right? So going back to what you're saying about the treatment, right? Now, AIDS itself is almost like cancer, right? Wherein if you catch it early, there is something you can do about it, right? So it's not all doom and gloom, right? There is something you can do about it. But what you can do about it is, ensure that, first of all, you know your status. So, ensure you get your HIV check regularly, especially now in this climate, and especially if you're having multiple partners. If your suspect say, the man there go over so, and if you're a man, your suspect say when you go on the road, a brother with the name Joe, I come visit the yard, or him friend Oral, any one of them I come visit the yard. Make sure say you get tested to know your status, because just like with cancer, the answer is ensuring that you have early detection. The earlier you detect it, the easier it is to treat and the more effective the treatment will be. If you wait until you're diagnosed with HIV, or wait until it's fully attacked your immune system down, and then you have AIDS at that point, that's when it gets really serious and really difficult to treat, just like with cancer. We tell like you want to say something. Talk to me.
Oh, I have a lot to say as we go along, but I'm just listening. I'm just listening.
All right. So, going back to that NGO, of course, we have the Ministry of Health that also provides resources towards that as well, that people can take advantage of. Right, their offices all over the island, and obviously they are confidential. At the end of the day, the aim is not to announce that, okay, these are the people that are affected, are infected. The aim of it is to ensure that there's early detection first of all, and then the follow up to that would be ensuring that the treatment is available and persons can get treated, so that they can not only reduce the chances of infection, but educate persons on how this thing works. Because again, you know, if you struggle up 99% of the time, you feel like, you know, that's definitely one of the things that's going to stem the spread of this virus. And based on how many it go on the St. James and, you know, all across the northwestern hemisphere, it's really serious. But I hate to hear say like one of my family members them have it or a friend or something like that, right? So really and truly this video, this podcast that we're doing is really to educate people and for ensure say they are protecting themselves, you know. But going back to the question, what do you think an appropriate sentence would be with her?
Appropriate sentence. Oh, boy. You know, again, I have to emphasize we're not talking about the persons who is not aware of the situation. We're talking about the persons who are going around just like a serial killer, just passing around the virus. If this can be proven, that person should serve just as much as 10 to 15 years.
And are you agreeing with Q where it's like you get, you know, based on how many persons you infect, then that's basically a count? Because you know, if you drive, you're drunk and drive and you lick down a few people, kill them, then you have several counts of manslaughter.
Yeah, but these
right?
persons are not actually they're not actually passed off or are dead.
No.
Yeah, so
But,
I wouldn't approach it that way.
But they're impacted
offense,
though.
The first offense is but they're not. I can't give I would pass a judgment. This is my opinion based on the fact that I have someone who went ahead and killed someone. But an harsh enough reality should hit them with 10 to 15 years for the first offense.
10 to 15 years. And Q, so based on your logic, what you think? Should it be a count system where it's like, you know, you have 3 counts of reckless endangerment or reckless exposure to the HIV virus, and each count carry 10 as, you know, a maximum of 10?
Well,
or you don't agree with the 10?
So on the first charge, I do believe that even though they did something wrong, right? Better counsel should always be there for them, you know, to educate them on what they're doing and what they're doing wrong, right? I believe in that. But yeah, if you cut a man, right, and he's not dead, it's attempted murder. And if you shoot a man and he's not dead, them can also consider that it was attempted murder, right? Now, knowing that person, because them said the symptoms of HIV and AIDS, sometimes early signs, almost coming like COVID. So man can just think him have cold and not, you know, check up because him. But people, get tested, practice safe sex. You have a responsibility as well. Because yes, your life is not over. Yes, when it's been treated, you can live normal. Yes, there's no stigma to it. But are your life? You know what I mean? You can't put your life in somebody else's hands. Yes, you will have a good time, but try to protect yourself. Not try, protect yourself.
Yes, I agree.
Because here the thing is too. If people get too scared about HIV and AIDS, no baby not go on.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. You know, obviously, I think was it Dr. Tufton at some point mentioned like there's a decline in the birth rate in Jamaica, but that could be caused by other stuff as well. But going back to what you're saying in terms of the treatment, right? Once you do get tested, and if you are diagnosed, there are definitely options. And obviously the clinic or whosoever, whichever organization that you go to get the test done will offer you options on how to get this taken care of. But there is a antiretroviral therapy, also called ART, for persons living with HIV, free of charge at public health facilities. But again, there's also the private. If you want to go the private route, nothing wrong with that. But what we're advocating for is, number one, test yourself. Test yourself, no man. Especially if you know say I do road. You know say I do road, and questionable sex, questionable because why? Test yourself.
No, but
it doesn't hurt. Just get tested.
Jackson, if you test yourself and you don't have HIV, right? And you test yourself tomorrow and you don't have HIV, and you got have unprotected sex with somebody who have HIV, testing now go help. You have to test them.
Well, that is true. So what is the cure for that? You tell a man saying nothing to do it?
No, test the partner too. Test the partner too and try for.
No, we're talking about somebody we are do road cure.
Yeah, but that means you can't test the person we are going to do road with.
I'm going to test everybody, but
you might do enough road.
You might do enough road. Come on, you might do enough road. You can't test every partner. I think everybody. You see the thing about it. You don't want to put the responsibility on the.
It is possible.
All right.
Remember, cool.
But you don't want to put the responsibility upon the other person.
As what we're saying, it's an overwhelming amount of cases, So you check yourself. You never have HIV yesterday. You gotta wait until you go have unprotected sex. You go check yourself. No, if it's a case where, I think you should go there and be having unprotected sex with multiple people. You're a grown person and you must be responsible.
Yeah, agreed. So while everybody's grown, everybody's responsible, so what I'm saying is definitely ensure you get yourself tested. If you can get your partner on board as well, if you have multiple partners, if you can get all of them on board, that is great. But make sure you get tested. Take responsibility for yourself, right? And then the next part of it is when I get a clean bill of health, make sure you put a rubber on the thing. You can't just go on the road and have sex with people, girl, pitney where I don't know them status. You understand? Obviously, if you can have one partner, that is the best thing, because at least then it's less likely for it to happen. But anyway, just want to thank you guys for being open to having this discussion. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll have some more Kommon Cents. Make it make sense.
Kommon Cents make it make sense. Once a shout out to the generals, the hosts of the program, as we talk about such a sensitive topic. Again, want to the viewers to understand that this is not to discriminate anyone, and we are not saying that persons who have the virus should be sentenced. We are saying that person who knowingly have the virus and going around spreading it, they should be held responsibly. If you're just joining us, go ahead, hit the notification bell. Yes, leave a like, share your thoughts. We have no problem with you voicing your opinion. That's what the comment section is for. Jackson, I tell you, the reasoning about what is happening in Jamaica and the world at large, but we're narrowing down to Jamaica and alarming data that was, shown in the news about
increase in the transmission rate in certain parishes. The disclosure comes as Jamaica joins the world in celebrating World AIDS Day. Shamela Pullen has our story.
The parish of Westmoreland is not only facing a crime problem, but the Ministry of Health is reporting a marked increase in HIV cases. According to data, the parish has a 38.1% transmission rate, followed by Trelawney with 37%, St. Anne 34.5%, and St. James 33.5%. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is concerned.
So Westmoreland, Trelawney, and St. Anne are parishes that are on our radar as parishes that have the highest level of transmission. We also have seen and continue to see a sort of younger age cohort that are infected there. So in other words, there are some vulnerable groups. But what is very, very important to make known is that HIV is not confined to any particular group, any particular sexual preference. In fact, the trends are suggesting that it's being mainstreamed. And this is concerning because it means that everyone has to take heed.
Overall, some 30,000 Jamaicans are currently living with the condition. Dr. Tufton.
Jamaica and the parishes that are increasing with the virus. And we made mention of them: Westmoreland, Trelawney, and St. Anne. I'll tell you, as we were reasoning about how someone, if they're doing road, I would know when Jamaica was doing road, what that means. They should be, prepared. If you're going to war, you need to have your armor. So it is clear that HIV doesn't have a face. It doesn't matter how these girls are looking and how healthy and strong, slim, thick, you know what I mean? Or it doesn't matter in any case where, a young lady will look at a man and say, boy, I look like him full of muscle. It doesn't matter. It's about protecting yourself. What do you have to say about that, Jackson?
Yeah, man.
Saying that it doesn't have a face or a look.
Yeah. It does not, because you can look on someone and tell whether or not they are HIV positive, right? Again, we go back to the fact that early detection can lead to you living with HIV, right? But it's something that's manageable in the sense of, you get a monthly injection or pill or any type of treatment, antiviral treatment that you're getting, and that in effect allows you to live a healthy and, I guess stigma-free in some sense life, because nobody knows that you have it besides, whoever you have confided that information to. And of course the doctor, right? So there is no face to it. You don't know who has it. Like the girl sexy and round, her body look good, her skin clean, or whatever the case is, you never know. So what we're saying is protect yourself. As a married man, I have to advocate for, one partner, married and settle down, and
why
you have
that's
a one
all
partner.
Things are going right now, Things are going right now. Better them just do after that. No sex. So things look right now. It's serious in Jamaica. This is the seriousness of it. But yes, we talk about protecting yourself. And in any case, as I said, it doesn't have a face. You can't say, I see what you're strong, man, you girl good. She's active, man. Just go in without a condom because I see how she move. She not have no issue, she smell good. Persons are now taking care of themselves, The stigma is still there. What persons who have the HIV virus, they are taking care of themselves. We say, Magic Johnson, what I mean? Nobody can look at him and say he looks sick. And he's have it over a period of years now. And a lot of persons who has it who are taking care of themselves and still functional human beings, still loving, caring. So we are not talking about these persons. We are talking about the persons who have the virus, knowing that they have it and spreading it. So what do you think about the fact? Someone meet somebody and, the person look healthy, normal workout at the gym, eating their fruits, just a healthy person. You looking on that, can you now say to the person, I would love to move from where we're no longer using condoms, so I'd like to get tested. Or in a relationship. Would that be offensive to a person that this person is healthy? Or you feel that everybody should get tested once you're taking it to the next level?
Well,
Cool.
one would say that's a smart thing to do because prevention is always better than cure, right? Somebody who's working out and taking care of themselves, whether they have HIV or not having HIV, that don't say anything, right? Because if somebody, you just mentioned a former great player, Magic Johnson, pretty sure that this gentleman is working out and taking care of himself and eating right. You can't use that to judge any situation. I do believe if you take your life serious, it's your life. If that person don't want to do it, I mean, is either you prefer your life or you prefer your feelings.
So if that person feel offended, so be it. But you have to protect yourself, basically.
Yeah, I would recommend that.
All right, this is what I want to say to the man them when no say you have a wife, you have a woman, but you feel say you have to go out. Protect your household. If you're going and stepping, you're not supposed to. But for some reason you're stepping out of your loving relationship, you need to protect yourself because you're disrespecting your home by going out there. That's one. Two, having sex without being protected. And if you have a side chick, make sure the side chick get check, man. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying this to be funny. These are real situations that are happening. And if a girl is a professional side chick, you're a professional side chick, make sure the man tests himself too. Because they have some girls that are professional side chick, they don't want nobody. Them just want to know some gain the things of quote unquote the married man or the man in a relationship. Everybody is responsible to know their status. If you enter this blindly and then want to kill yourself or kill somebody, you have yourself to blame. You have to make sure that you protect yourself. It's a rough situation. It's a rough situation. Jackson, what you say about
that? It's just adding to what I've said already. Basically, going back to the original question is really.
I'm talking about the fact where a man is stepping out on his family.
No, I know.
When I said this is not happening, this is a real thing, and not using protection. If any case, if he's stepping out on his family and not using protection and then bring it to the wife, that's the one that whether the man or the woman, they should get the 10 to 15 years. Because you're now putting yourself in that situation and you bring it back to your wife. Look at that. What you say about
that? No, I don't want to twist what we're trying to do here, right? We're talking
I'm
about
not twisting. I'm asking you a question. I want to know your opinion.
Intentionality into it, right? But at the end of the day, you don't know the reason why somebody may want to step out or have to step out or whatever the case is, right? So I don't want to put that on anyone. I can only speak for myself.
Right? I don't want to know the reason. This is not about the reason, Jackson.
No, but what you said. I'm just gonna repeat the question just to ensure that there's clarity and we understand what you said, right?
Okay.
So you say if the man step out and catch AIDS and bring it back to his wife, then the man forget 10 to 15 years.
I want you to understand the context as well. He's stepping out on his wife, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Or the woman is stepping out on her husband, which is wrong. She's now going in a sexual relationship with someone and not using protection and leaving that person coming home to his wife where he's tested and whatever the case may be, or husband who is not cheating, and then give that person HIV. Shouldn't there be some accountability for that?
Well, you're talking about personal marital affairs and stuff like that. So we're not getting into that, as I said.
No,
you know, I can
willing
only
to
speak
talk
for
about
myself.
I'm willing to talk
Well,
about it.
You can talk about it, sure. What are your thoughts, Peter? Tell us. Do you think that if a man step out of the relationship
I actually just
and
tell you.
catch
I
AIDS?
actually answer you. I told you that I believe that he should be if he stepped out on his relationship, which he shouldn't, but he went out and stepped out on his relationship and then caught the virus and bring it back to his wife, he should be held accountable. I did say that. I'm asking what you think.
There
If
is
you agree
no
or disagree with me.
intention. There is no intention of giving the wife AIDS in this case. You're talking about that is him basically I get sentenced because in Gibbon.
No. I want you to understand. You probably not understand. But if you was who are understanding,
No, I understand what you're saying, you know. But I'm saying there is no intention. What we're talking about. Look,
we're just
hold on.
talking
You
about
asked me a question. You asked me a question. Let me answer.
You didn't want to answer.
Yeah, answer no.
Okay,
yeah, answer.
Okay.
All right. So I'm saying what we're talking about is if there is an intention, right? So basically, you know, say you have AIDS and you willingly give it to somebody else, right? So let's say him step out of the relationship. Right?
Let's reason. Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, him do him a do. And then 2 days later, the female call him back and say, yo, boy, you know, so I never too feel well and me go a doctor go check it out and him say me do a AIDS test and me do a AIDS test and, you know, so me have AIDS though. And within those 2 days, the husband and the wife has not had any intercourse, right? Now the man has been informed that it's possible that he has the virus because the woman tell him same have the virus, right? That is where willful intention will come in because HIV, you're right, right? So that is where willful intention would come in because you know, so you have interacted with somebody that has it and you probably have it. And you not go check it out and the same night, wife come in and hug him up and kiss him 2 times and say, yo, go on. You know? And him go so and roop swaps because I'm wife, so him not use no protection.
So Jackson.
And then later on you find out that the wife have it. Even if you go, yes, that time he need to go prison because he knew before he spread the virus.
Jackson, let's look at it next way.
Mm.
You bring someone in your home who you're doing a background check on, introduce to your family and give them a room in your house.
Yes.
That person is a serial killer or you know what I mean, rapist.
That can't stand up in a court.
Let me finish. No, because you did not do your due diligence. You put your family in danger. Wrong or right?
You didn't willingly put your family in danger, or you didn't knowingly. Because that's what we're talking about, you know.
Accountability. I'm talking about accountability.
We're talking about reckless
that you should have
exposure.
done your diligence of finding out this person before you bring them in the life of your family. And now they end up and do something.
Let's be realistic with her. With her, Q, you go like you want that conversation, you know.
No,
you have to be realistic. You got to just bring somebody in your house.
I'll ask you a question when I'm ready. I'm just
you're not going to just bring somebody in your house with her. Obviously, as somebody you know.
You know, funny enough, a lot of person have carried out and do that and don't do background check. You know, this person's in difficulty and bring them in the house and things happen.
Hitchhiker, they bring in a hitchhiker. A white people you talk about, brother.
Jamaicans do that a lot. Jamaicans
take people that do them something there.
People in Jamaica take kids from the country or persons from the country or family member that they don't know much about. Come on, you're not being realistic.
Hold on, gentlemen, let me say something. Can I say something to the both of you?
Yeah, man.
Whether or not a background check is done or isn't done, what if there's no fingerprint with that person? What if that person has been doing the crime and never been caught?
So in this case, let me answer you. In this case, now we're bringing it to if you're going to step out on your family and you're going to have a side chick. That's why you should go ahead and get her tested. The both of you tested. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
Okay.
But hold on. But with her, if she's a side chick, then she probably have fear, man.
Well, you
so the next man I will get tested
side chick business, man.
You know what I do foolishness.
No, but gentlemen,
you know what I mean?
It's about educating people on ways
Yeah.
to prevent themselves from getting HIV. Wouldn't you agree to that, Kimar?
Yeah, man, definitely.
Okay. No, we can move on. Yeah, I mean, so start to use the tone that Q used for you to agree.
No, but listen, hey, it's a serious matter, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, we have keep it like we have to educate the people and we have to entertain them at the same time, don't?
But the part of the thing is, what I'm trying to bring across is accountability. We don't want nobody say, you know what I mean? We never know. When this, but that. Because that's where the spike is coming from, you know. No one is taking accountability, you know. Everybody is just acting on emotions and feelings. You know what I mean? So we want to get to the place where it's a normal thing to say, all right, we're taking the relationship to our next level. We're going to put away the condom. But before we do that, let's get tested. That's where I want to bring it, where persons understand that it's important. And, you know what I mean? A person who have been out there and experienced, you have to understand me saying this is a case where I also have experience out there as well and have seen friends and persons who approach this thing a bit slight. So to bring the awareness is we have to talk about accountability. And that's where I'm getting at. You know what I mean? So sure, it's a serious topic, but one thing I understand in life, you have to have fun in anything you do. So even though we're talking about this serious thing, we have to look on different scenarios. And it'd probably be funny to you, but it's a serious thing that is happening. It's something that needs attention, and accountability is one of them. So, you know what I'm saying? Something was sweet with sour. Please use a condom, or if you're not ready for the responsibility of sex, don't have sex. Let me say it again. If you're not ready for the responsibility of sex, don't have sex. Yes. Now, let's move forward. On the other hand, right? We have a lot of these grown-ass men who are going out there and targeting the schoolgirls. And for whatever reason, you know, the schoolgirl probably don't have certain exposure to certain things and end up getting influenced. And this is where we have a lot of the virus spreading. You know what I mean? We'll put some of the stats of the virus. But the spike is starting from the younger age. You know what I mean? So we have to look in that. Is it that the shunning topic of sex that a lot of parents don't want to have with their kids? Is it that they need to make sure they have that communication? The fact that you don't want to talk to your daughter or teach her how to use a condom, is it time now to do it? Whether you be a Christian or a non-Christian. It's the time to know, educate. So, for example, you have a daughter that is 14, 15. Is it you are saying that it's too early to let her know about sexual education, how to protect herself, even though you're not sending her out there? What are your thoughts on that, Jackson?
You know, I think that these nowadays kids, like, them have so much resources at their fingertips that, you know, as Q always said, you know, you're drowning in information, but you're starving for knowledge.
Starving for wisdom.
Starving for wisdom, right? Yeah, so much information at their fingertips. And I think back in the day, but back in my time, you know, when I was going to high school, I think there was, you know, it was on the eve or the end, just on the ending part of the 80s, right? Sorry, ending part of the 90s going into the 2000s, and everybody was talking about AIDS, right? HIV, AIDS, HIV, AIDS. Buju Banton Bill a song, rude boy, don't be silly, rubber span your willy, right? So that is the
Yeah,
era
man, I
that
remember
I
that
grew up.
song.
That is the era I grew up in. So it was a big thing and it was always in the forefront of your mind. Even before me start to have sex, me I think say, yo, when me start to have sex, me I make sure say me, you know? Me have then time they have one condom named Panther. If you don't know what name
If them
Panther,
know, them
call me
know.
sir.
If them know, them know.
But you know, them time that you have your Panther in your billboard so till you print out in your billboard.
If
Right?
them know, them know.
Yeah. But anyway, so you know, I feel like the generation is a different generation, and now, I can't even say that my dad had that sex conversation with me, but I feel like it was so predominantly in the media and being spread on in a newspaper. Then time we have a thing named Children's Own, it in a Children's Own. So it was all over the place. So I feel like the information was spread more widely. But now we're in, I think kids kind of control the information that they are getting more in terms of they're on social media. They're not reading a newspaper where, the information that they're getting is controlled by the editors of the newspaper. They can go and get their own information. So them just choose to watch Minecraft all day, or whatever it is that they're watching. So I just feel like there has to be, because the only place to really control right now are the schools and the parents, right? The parents have to take the initiative to ensure that they are inform the kids them.
You're agreeing that no matter how young they is, the parents should take the initiative. You're agreeing to that?
Yo, my son at 8 and I start have certain conversation with them already.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Especially about money. But anyway, what I'm saying is, find the video on YouTube make sure you watch the video first. Don't look on the topic and just send it to your child, right? Watch the video first, make sure you understand it, make sure you agree with it, and then send it to your child. I say, yo, here we go on. Watch that video and tell me what you think about it. If you don't want to have the conversation just abrupt, so just send it to him and say, yo, watch the video, tell me what you think about it.
All right, thanks for your opinion.
Starter right there.
No, yeah. I'll turn this over to Q, where we're asking. I would like to ask you the question based on a statement that you made that back in the days, the outstanding dancehall artists or reggae artists used to educate the youths in the lyrics of this matter. But Q, nowadays when you look on the music of our prominent dancehall artists, where they're saying that, arise in your way. There's nobody talking about the lyrics or coming together saying that, why for the coming together. There's no one talking about the fact that protect yourself. Do you think it's now the era because this is happening where, these dancehall artists should bring out those clever ways like how the other dancehall artists was doing so? Do you think this is the age for that now?
I'm going to make a little joke. So, like, dancehall artists are the leaders of the nation these days.
Boy.
But them have such them have such great responsibility.
Yeah.
The man them more responsible for the works, for what the criminal them do, what the police do, what the politician do, what the church them do. Man. Listen.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things need to be taught in school because the artist was once a child. Right? And they said that it takes a village to raise a child. Most artists sing about what them experience, what them know, and what is current. So I do believe when Buju Banton did sing that song, Age of Corona, I don't want to catch it. It was a movement. It was on the television. It was everywhere. You know what I mean? No, these days it's almost like a HIV and AIDS, gone to the back burner. So I think with things like these, artists will be coming out. I believe that artists will be coming out now and trying to change the way how they do things. Right, legend?
Yeah, so I do agree. A lot of pressure have been placed on in many cases. Our artists, and probably we'll have a topic where we talk about that. Our artists influential, most definitely. When Valiant came out and said catch your hat, say a lot of people are with them at a catch. When Cartel come out and say cool like you wash your face with the cakes up there, the bleaching was there now, but it increased. There are a lot of things that these young people take onto when they're following their artists. Now, you mentioned that there in that case, there could have been a movement and it was rampant. But this is what is happening now. Me saying this is to say that we need to, our we're having this podcast, is to shed the light on it that it's now alarming. We need to start a movement if necessary about this, because me as a dancehall artist, because when it forward to this now, it's like, whoa, it's a pill people world now. Them go out, them drink, pill up, and just crazy. What them call it? Sinful. Wild out. So with that case, you have to understand that we are a team, whether it be dancehall artist, whether it be the parent, whether it be the teacher. This is a community. Jamaica is a community. And we need to now work together. Everybody put in their 2 cents and try to see how we can now push the narrative that you need to protect yourself. And if you can't manage the responsibility of sex, don't have it. So that's where I was getting at. All right?
So I do agree with you on that with when you talk about the community. So I think, yes, the artists, they are influential and all of that, but we have other people that play important role and need to be focusing on that as well. Not just the news, not just the dancehall artists.
Yeah, that's why I think the statement just
yes,
now.
No, I'm saying I'm agreeing. No, I'm saying I'm agreeing with you.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just backing what you're saying. I agree with you on that statement.
So basically, the reason I came up with that point is because Jackson actually bring us to that vibe where he's saying that back in the day, artists used to sing these songs, and I'm saying, whoa, is that case that we need to know, see how we can assist the rest of the society or the community to educate the youths that, you know what I mean? You need to protect yourself. Yeah, you need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. You understand?
I don't know how to say it, but we need the movement.
Yeah.
We need it.
We need back the movement.
We need it, yeah. For real.
We need it.
Because it's out there and it's real, right?
It is definitely real. So we talk about how can the government step in place, and we discussed that there should be some accountability for persons. Again, we're not discriminating. We're talking about persons who goes around knowing that they have the virus and spreading the virus. And this is what one would appeal for these are the opinion of mine, not necessarily common sense. We're appealing for the government to look into this and take it very serious, because it's now affecting us rapidly. We'll take a break. I will be back with more questions with you. Kommon Cents, make it make sense.
Kommon Cents, make it make sense. Now, none of us here are medical doctors or study anything about HIV. We're all giving our opinions, right? But Jamaica is our island, and we're doing what we can with the influence that we have. And we would advise anyone and everyone to do the same, right? Common sense, make it make sense. Now, gentlemen, Mr. Witter, what are some of the things you think we can do to reduce stigma towards people that are living with HIV?
As relates to the stigma, one of the thing is we have to understand what people don't have the knowledge of, they are afraid of. And being afraid of something, then that's where the stigma comes in, where how they react to it. So the best way to combat this is to then bring the knowledge. And when we say bring the knowledge of letting them know that anybody can catch the virus, HIV. However, means of protecting yourself. We talk about in the schools as early as possible, let teenagers understand the seriousness of this and how to protect themselves. We're talking about having that talk in the home with our kids that a lot of us shy away from because we're parents and we're like, oh, can I have this conversation with my daughter or my son? We're talking about having these conversations. We're talking about making the information so readily available and in their face that they understand the seriousness of it. So one of the ways to combat that, I would definitely think, be pushing the knowledge or the education of sexual education.
Thank you, sir. And with that, I will say to anyone watching this podcast at this point in time, being real is better than being perfect. However, not being perfect means you're going to mess up, right? And just want to let you know that it's good to apologize. No, we're talking about people and their life. We're not talking about machine. And HIV, as Wita said before, if not being educated and not taking the right steps, anyone can get it, right? Anyone. So this is something that is affecting us on our island and the world at large. Now, Jackson, what are some of the things you think we can do to help to prevent HIV? Or what are some of the things you suggest the government should do to help to prevent the spread of HIV?
Well, let's talk about what they are doing, or what I've seen them, based on the information on the Ministry of Health and Wellness. They have this national HIV program that provides free HIV testing, free counseling, and distributes free condoms as well. And they also offer antiretroviral therapy, which is ART, to persons living with HIV at free of charge at public health facilities. And of course, they run them ad campaign here and there as well, targeting the at-risk members of society, persons that are more at risk, right? Sex workers and you name it. So, besides what the government is doing, I think what we can do as citizens of the country is, just ensure that we educate ourselves, right? So, the information is available, whether it's online, you can do a quick Google search, a YouTube search, or even just watch JIS, because I'm sure, that still covers it, right? But we have to take responsibility as citizens of the country to really protect ourselves and band together. As I say, we need a movement, right? It would be nice if the government could lead that movement, And going back to one of the things that we were asking, which is, should the reckless exposure of HIV be criminalized and enforced? I feel like that is one step the government can definitely do. But in terms of, us protecting ourselves, the government can come in our bedroom and roll on. You understand me I say? Like, that is a step that we have to take ourselves, right? And besides us adults that, have been around for a while and are supposed to be acting responsible, right? You have the younger youth, but them just not know better. And for those persons, as parents, as the older generation, as the elders in society, I feel like we have a responsibility to bring this to the forefront And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast today, because we have to bring light to this topic.
And I'm going to add to that as well. As Jackson just said, I do believe that we have tablets, we have television, we have social media, we have all different platforms right now. We have books, and we have people that we can ask questions, right? So I do believe that educating yourself, whether it's your friend, whether it's your family, or whether it's just someone in the community, we can, I believe that's the first way of helping. So the government, the politicians, the government, which is the politicians, right? And the musicians, who are very influential, the preachers, the teachers, and the community leaders, neighbors, friends, and family. I believe we all have a role to play, as what Kemar just said. Would you agree with that, Mr. Witter?
Yeah, man. And as I said, it's a community effort. And all hands have to be applying to this to make sure we bring the knowledge. So whether the government, the people, everybody have to have their role to play. And that's why we're saying, you know what I mean, persons who are going around and spreading the virus because they have malicious intent or they're having revenge or for whatever reason, you know what I mean? Yes, we have counseling if they utilize that. But from there going around doing this, the government should put a penalty. And I said it and I'll say it again, 10 to 15 years. From you're aware of it and you're going around spreading it, you should be accountable. You know what I mean? So
just like that.
Yes, I do agree. Everyone have a role to play. And as a country, this is how we're going to make sure we're able to combat a lot of things, working together.
And as Jackson said, he mentioned some platform that if someone watching this podcast, or you know someone who's watching this podcast on different platforms and things you can go for getting help. Another thing I would say is if someone reach out to you and inform you that they're living with HIV, please be respectful of that individual privacy. Please. It's very important that you be respectful of their privacy. No, gentlemen, Jackson, I think I asked you that already. Witter, offering real support, how important do you think that is, and what kind of support you think is important?
You mean support to persons here who have been the virus, the HIV virus? Well, in any case, it is a disease, and anyone, whether it be HIV, cancer, you name it, anyone that is going through a trying time needs support from family and friends. This is why I don't want the stigma to be placed on it. Because as humans, we are prone to diseases. So support, if you have a friend or a family member going through this, is to letting them know that, hey, the world hasn't ended for you. You know what I mean? There's treatment for it. There are persons, famous and non-famous, who are living with HIV and still functional. It doesn't have a face. You know what I mean? It's about, you're in the situation, what are you going to do to make sure, you know what I mean, you protect yourself and doesn't let it reach to the age itself. So it's about getting the knowledge, be aware. And family member don't need to shy away from this person or keep away from this person. It's not just going around pulping out of their body and it will affect it. You know what I mean? Be respectable. Again, we are humans. And there are a lot of persons who end up in this situation being faithful, being a little naive to the understanding of what it is and how to go about protecting yourself. Or sometimes we just make a bad decision. So being there for that person, you know what I mean, providing that family net or that support net is very important.
And I would add to that by saying simple things like, don't pity them, treat them normal, right? Instead of assuming what they need, ask them. Ask them simple questions like, would you like me to accompany you to the doctor? Or just be there for them any way you can. But just be real, be sincere about it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we're talking about human beings. Again, I would say be respectful of their privacy if they should inform you about it. Gentlemen, this topic and this conversation is real. Now, Jackson, how important do you think emotional availability is to friends and family living with HIV?
So emotional availability, you're talking from the perspective of, a family member that doesn't have it, living with a family member that has it, kind of thing, right?
Even if they're not living with them, but they're
aware of it. Yeah, I mean, just like with any other diagnosis. So, like, let's say for example, all right. So let's say for example, a family member heard that another family member has cancer. What is that reaction going to be like? Is that reaction, can I invite them over no more? Them can't come eat off of my plate or use my fork, Plastic plate them off for eat off of. You don't treat the person like that, right? So, and the reason I use a cancer example, because it's very similar to cancer in the sense that, when it gets to a certain point, if it's not detected, it can be very detrimental to the person. So I think, just understanding, first of all, how the virus, the HIV virus is spread, educate yourself. If you find out, say, a family member have it, educate yourself on it. Don't just, exile the person from your family member, from your social gatherings and everything like that, right? Educate yourself on how it's spread. The other thing you want to do is, encourage the person to get counseling as well. You can actually get counseling as well, because at the end of the day, you have to learn how to deal with it and how to navigate the conversation and stuff like that, right? It's gonna take a village to really, our movement, as you guys said, to really get this thing going. So, one of the things that I'd like to introduce to the conversation is, because guess what now? You see the young people that's where, from my understanding, that's where the spikes are happening, and we have to reach out to young people Young people end up on TikTok, young people end up on Instagram. So I want people to share this video. I want them to basically create content around this, and we want to help. We need some help to spread the word, right? So we want to create a know your status challenge, where we are challenge people for, and we don't want you to film your result, because that is basically, you're adding stigma to the whole thing if you do that, right? We just want you to film or to record that you're actually getting tested, right? Your result are your result. You don't need to share your result, because it's when you share your result, if a man say I'm going to get tested tomorrow and then him don't share a result, then everybody going to feel like, say, him have, you understand me? I saying get a positive result. So we don't want that to be a part of the conversation. We just want you to let everybody know, all right, I'm on board. I'm going to get tested for HIV.
If I may,
I know that I kind of navigate away from the question that you asked me, but the reason I'm saying that is a way of destigmatizing getting tested. And guess what? If you don't have a stigma around testing, more people get tested, more people find out earlier that they have the virus, and that mitigates the spread of the virus. So I think that is, something that I feel like can definitely help.
No answer is perfect. we not look for perfection, we just look for realness because it's real. But let me add to that by saying, living with HIV or AIDS, right? It's real. It can cause depression, fear, anxiety, different kind of illness, right? It is okay to not know sometimes, right? Sometimes just being there, sitting there with them, giving them that kind of support is also important. Being someone they can cry to, vent, you know what I mean? Whatever they need, just to know that somebody is there with them, supporting them, right? Life is not over. Once you treat it, you know what I mean? If somebody have AIDS, if it's been treated and it go full-blown AIDS, if somebody is 30, they can live to 60 or 70, as I was saying before, and even longer than that, right?
Right.
You know, it's real. What's how you think we can encourage health practices? No? How can we be there for them?
Well, as I said it before, if you can't manage the responsibility of having sex, abstain from it. That's the best way we're talking about that. But healthy lifestyle, your status as Jackson talk about. And the case that you do have it, you make sure you start treating your body. Because as Jackson mentioned in the early part of the podcast, is that it attacks your immune system. And it's a breaking down of the immune system. So along with medications and support, you have to focus on things that build your immune system. So if there's a better word, abstinence, or if you're going to do it, protect yourself, know your status. And if you are living with it, work on your immune system.
And to go along with what Witta just said, right? Thank you for that, Witta. As we said before, we're not looking for no perfect answer, but we're looking for sincere answers and what we think. And this is all our opinion. But one thing I would say, help them to try to stay on their medication, right? If someone living with HIV, try to support them, remind them to take the medication, right? Because they can live with it. As Witta said before, Magic Johnson has HIV, and he's been living with it for all these years. Sometimes people struggle to stick to the medication, but don't pressure them, but try to encourage them, right? And help them to celebrate them wins. Because we're talking about people. You know what I mean? We're not talking about, and we have young people, we have adults, we have, as Witta said before, it not have a complexion, it not have an age group, it not have looks. Now, Jackson, what are some simple words you can tell them of words of encouragement? To make them stay above with them head above water. Somebody living with HIV, or AIDS, whatever, because it's real,
So words of encouragement, I like the one the one that you said that, someone finding out that they're 30, they can live until they're 70. Magic Johnson is a poster child, right? So without being repetitive, I just want to say, knowing is the beginning, but it's not the end, right? It's just a part of the journey, right? So there is definitely life after learning that you have HIV. There are a lot of examples of that in the public media, public space. But don't be disheartened. I understand, it is a virus, again, similar to like cancer, the HIV virus. If you find out that you have it, it is something that is treatable. it's something that there's a path that has been created in terms of what to do when you find out, to how do you maintain a healthy lifestyle moving forward, where you can still have a partner and stuff like that, suppress the virus in your body. So the encouragement is really just knowing that, number one, people have gone through this before. You're not alone, right? There's a whole movement, a group. If you're a youth, there's groups like the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network that you can reach out to for information. And there's other NGOs out there that have um, spaces that you can ask questions and not be judged and feel comfortable, right? Besides that, you have family that will always love you, right? Despite what is going on in your life, they'll always love you and always treat you fairly, right? So just keep your head up, man, and again, it's not the end. So just find out. All right, you find out that is the case. What do you do next, right? Focus on what is next.
What I put the same thing to you, because you're a man of words. What are some of the words you can say to somebody, words of encouragement, somebody living with HIV, too?
All right. So, a means of, closing, I'll say to you that you are currently in a situation, and the situation is what you do next make sense. A lot of person decide to, make sure they become advocate or speak about the different stereotyping and stages. But it's okay if you don't want to do that. If you want to just make sure that you be around family and take care of yourself and just go through the phases. Once you have that safety net, do it. If you feel like you want to, step out and talk to persons, because persons that sometimes they cases where a person get the virus and, go ahead and unalive themselves. We want them to understand that the process goes on. You still can live. Still can live. Your life can still be normal, work, whatever the case may be. Protect your health. It's not over. And we're not here to discriminate you. We're here to drive the movement towards persons who are going around passing on this virus knowingly and affecting many lives. That's what we are talking about. For the persons with it, find someone, reach out to someone, talk to someone. Possibly a professional, because people can be discriminated, and we'd like to change that as well with this movement. And this is Kommon Cents starting a movement such as this.
No, thank you for that, Whit, and thank you for that, Jackson. And I do respect everything that every man said right now, because here the thing is, we all reach different people in different ways. Right. As Witta said, people are out there. As Jackson said, you're not alone. But one thing I would say, you're watching this podcast right now, and your mother have HIV, your father have HIV, your grandparents have, or your grandparents might have HIV, or your daughter, or a friend. Still love and respect them. Or your cousin or your auntie or your uncle. Still love and respect them. And let them know that you still love and respect them. Because you're still a person and they still need that support, right? Let them know that we will get through this together. Because it's a sensitive case. And everybody needs words of encouragement at times, especially in these serious times. Would you gentlemen agree with me on that?
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
Now, we're big on educating yourself, and we are using this podcast, as Peter said, to push the message out there, because, you know, we listen to the viewers and we see what is going on, and we just take the time out to do this. And we believe that everyone can do the same. But I'm going to leave Witter to wrap up at this time.
Yeah, man. Again, I'll ask the Kommon Cents University fraternity to go ahead, subscribe, share this link with someone, share it with a friend. Kommon Cents make it make sense. We talk about topics like these, and we're not afraid to discuss any cutting-edge topic and dive into it to provide you with information, and that's what Kommon Cents is about. So share it to someone. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Give us your give us your opinion in the comment section. Kommon Cents make it make sense. So I'm blessed again. We're out.